Hi everyone, it's Gina K from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV. And today on Stamp TV, I have a quick and easy technique that looks a lot more complicated than it really is. I'm going to be doing some basic ink blending, and then I'm going to be using colored pencils to accent the floral design. The stamp set that I'm using is the Wrapped in Love stamp set. This stamp set came in the Pop Art Flowers card kit. I'm going to be using this large floral image, and I'm going to use it kind of draping off the side of the cardstock. And because this image is so large, I'm going to use my MISTI stamping tool to make stamping easy. I'm laying this stamp face down onto my cardstock, and then I'm picking it up with the door of the MISTI. Next, I'm going to use my embossing magic pad to remove any static or any oil or anything on the surface of this card that might pick up embossing powder where I don't want it. Then I'm going to ink up the stamp using the Gina K Designs embossing and watermark ink. This is a great ink for embossing. It's also great for using with Pearl-Ex and other types of powder products. I'm just going to press all over this image to get good contact with the paper. And then I'm going to be doing some embossing using the Gina K Designs Fine Detail White Embossing Powder. I like to keep my embossing powder in one of these kinds of containers. This way it makes it easy to sprinkle the powder on the cardstock, and it can just go right back into the container. I have about 3 jars of white in this container. Now I'm going to use my Wagner heat tool, and I'm going to heat up this design. I always like to heat up my tool a little bit before I start because that makes the embossing powder melt more quickly and the paper is less apt to warp. Now I'm going to use one of the Picket Fence Studios life-changing brushes and some Ocean Mist ink. And even with the ink cubes, you can ink up these brushes quickly and easily. Now I'm going to go a little bit heavier in the corner, and then I'm going to get lighter as I blend out toward the end of the design. I'm using a circular motion to blend that ink evenly around this whole design. But I'm not going to go any farther than the edge of the flowers and the leaves. It'll extend just a tiny bit, but it'll be super light. I'm laying down a foundation of Ocean Mist, which is going to be kind of like my second color for coloring, because I'm going to color these flowers with colored pencils, but I'm only going to color parts of the flowers, and the rest of the color is going to come from this Ocean Mist ink. So once I get a nice even blend, I can start coloring. Now the colored pencil that I'm going to use to color the flowers on this card, I'm going to be using the Prismacolor Aquamarine pencil. It's a great pencil to coordinate with the Ocean Mist and Turquoise Sea ink. So I'm just going to start by adding a little bit of shading down at the bottom of each petal where it appears to be attached to the base of the flower. And I'm going to continue to color with light strokes and just kind of highlighting the bottom of each flower, just darkening the bottom and letting the Ocean Mist take over the top of the flower. When you have these really tiny areas, you can just go ahead and color those right in. But then, for the bigger areas, just shade more toward the bottom and let that Ocean Mist highlight the top of each petal. Now there's lots of petals on this, but it really doesn't take very long because I'm just kind of scribbling that pencil very lightly. Now for my leaves, I'm going to use the Prismacolor pencil called Kelly Green. And in all of the projects that I made using this technique, which I'll show you at the end of the video, I used the same Kelly Green. But it's really interesting how, because I'm coloring over that Ocean Mist, that the Kelly Green looks very different on this card than it does on my other 2 cards, because I used a different color ink to blend over those cards. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. So I'm going to continue to color all of these leaves. And once I have all of these leaves colored, it's going to look like I put a lot more time into shading than I actually did. Now I'm going to add my greeting, and once again I'm going to use the same stamp set, the Wrapped in Love, and I'm going to use the birthday greeting from the set. I'm going to use some Gina K Designs black onyx ink to ink this up. You can also use our amalgam jet black ink or our new amalgam obsidian ink. All three blacks will give you a nice crisp image, and it just depends on how black you want that black ink to be. So now I've stamped the birthday greeting, and this card is ready to be mounted onto a note card. For my finished card, I just mounted that panel onto a layer of black onyx and then onto a white note card. And you can see what my finished card looks like. Now here's another version of the card that I did. And for this card, instead of using the turquoise, I used sweet corn ink, and then I highlighted the flowers using a goldenrod pencil. That's a Prismacolor pencil. And again, for the leaves, I used the Kelly green, but those leaves look a little bit different than the ones on the blue card. And for my third project, I used Innocent Pink. I also stamped the opposite corner with the same stamp, just a different portion of it. And for coloring in the flowers, I used the Prismacolor pencil called Henna. So here are my finished card projects. I hope you've enjoyed today's Stamp TV video, and I hope you'll give this technique a try. It's such a quick and easy technique that creates such lovely cards. These cards would be great to group together and give as a gift to a hostess or a teacher. Here are a couple other videos you might enjoy, and I hope you'll hit the subscribe button so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.